Hi there, folks. Welcome to tonight's Oral History Live panel with Boston Roller Derby, moderated by Frankie de la Crete as tonight's moderator. So yeah, hi. My name is Matisse Dupont. I am the Director of Engagement and Advancement for the History Project. Welcome. So glad to have you here. And I'm just so excited that we're doing this Boston Roller Derby thing. Roller Derby is one of those, it's like one of my favorite things. Um, when I was like 16, I grew up in like New Hampshire, and this this amazing roller derby team took me in when I was like 16, and it's just the best thing ever. So, anyways, if you don't know, I'm with the History Project. Welcome. We are Boston's queer community archives, dedicated to documenting, preserving, and sharing Boston's LGBTQ plus history since 1980. If you're at all interested in Boston's queer and trans history, please be sure to give us a follow on social media and subscribe to our newsletter to learn about upcoming events and activities. Here, I'm going to pop some of those links in the chat here. So if anyone wants to follow us, there's our Instagram, Linktree, all that good stuff. Um, Next up, I just want to take one more moment to plug something for the History Project. I want to invite you all to our annual History Maker Awards ceremony. It's going to be on Tuesday, September 30th. It is a fundraiser that's going to be remembering 45 years of the History Project. We're going to be honoring our founders as this year's history makers and also presenting the annual Lavender Rhino Award to our local activist on the ground, Kim Topping. So you're not going to want to miss this. We're also going to be kind of going over and revealing some new, maybe like a new name for the organization. I don't know. I can't say too much about it at this time, but you should definitely come to the History Maker Awards. And but turning to this tonight's event, we're History Project. We are so proud to partner with Boston Roller Derby. They are celebrating their 20th anniversary. Everyone, can we like go off in the chat for just a second and get really excited about 20 years of Boston Roller Derby? It's very exciting. There's going to be a bout on uh, September 13th, which is coming up at Shriners Auditorium in Wilmington. The doors are at 4. The bronze game starts at 5. The championship game is at 7. And there's a drag show and after party at 9. Very exciting. I'm going to put the link in the chat now for those who, if you'd like to attend that. And I would highly recommend it because, oh my gosh, what the heck is happening here? Um,
Just in it yourself.
um, Whoa, that's never happened. I'm so sorry, everyone. Um, Dang. Um, well, apologies for everyone but anyway, please come to the bout. We have set up a special history code project for 50% off. It's history. So if you'd like to come, please come to the Boston Roller Derby 20th anniversary championships and use code history for 15% off. Okay, folks, let's get going. I'm going to introduce our host and moderator, Frankie de la Crete. Frankie is an award-winning journalist whose work sits at the intersection of sports, gender, and culture. They are the co-author of Hail Mary, The Rise and Fall of the National Women's Football League, and their writing has appeared in the New York Times, Sports Illustrated, The Atlantic, and more. They live in Dorchester with their partner, kids, and a mini dachshund named Lou Sullivan. Frankie, I'm going to pull you up, and we can take it away from here.
Amazing. Hi. We have a second mini dachshund now named Regina George. So we now have two mini dachshunds. So I won't have to update that for next time. But hi, everybody. I'm Frankie Del Creta, and I'm very excited to be here. Yeah, the roller derby is kind of like the intersection of all of my interests. I write about sports and gender and queerness and all of that fun stuff, which is exactly what roller derby is. So I am really excited to be here for Oral History Live, the roundtable to celebrate 20 years of Boston Roller Derby. We have six amazing guests. They range from founding members, seasoned players, and newer skaters and some coaches as well. We're going to hear their stories, memories, and what the future looks like. We'll be here for 90 minutes tonight, so we should have plenty of time for, stories and questions from folks as well. So, yeah, let's get started. I'm going to have everyone introduce themselves. If you panelists could share your name, your derby persona, and the moment or memory that made you fall in love with roller derby. And we're going to try to go in chronological order. So, Sarah, you're up first.
Hey guys, I'm Sarah Kingen, Derby name Sarah Doom, and I'm one of the founders of Boston Derby Dames or Boston Roller Derby. In 2005, I helped start the league and played till 2009. I started doing Derby. I first saw a game in Tucson, Arizona. The furious truck stop waitresses from Tucson were playing a team from Phoenix, and probably similar to a lot of you guys, like I saw this sport and I was like, had to do it. So started training in Tucson, moved back to the East Coast and founded the Providence League and then started the Boston League. So kind of wanted to build the sport where I lived because it didn't exist yet.
Thank you. BFF Anna, you're up.
Hi, I'm BFF Anna. You can call me BFF Anna. So I started playing roller derby in Providence in 2005, and after 3 seasons, I moved to Boston and stayed with Boston until 2016. And I first saw roller derby on a now defunct social media site, I Am the Amusing, if anyone knows that. And a skater from Texas had it on her page, and I was like, this is so cool, but it's in Texas. And then one day I saw the Phoenix article in Providence and was like, oh my God, it's where I am now. And I was living in Providence at the time, and that's how I joined. Who is next? Payne, right?
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. I'm Little Payne. My legal name is Jessica Leiter, and I grew up in New Bedford in the 1980s, and I used to spend a ton of time at the roller skating rink, Hot Wheels, RIP. And I also like watched Hanna-Barbera cartoons on the weekends. After the Cartoon Express ended, sometimes roller derby would be on TV. Um, and I really wanted to play it because it was like on TV and roller skates, which I already loved. And when I moved to Boston, I was looking for a place to live and I went on a tour in an apartment and the person who lived there played. And I was like, cool, I don't want to live in this apartment, but I do want to take up your sport. So that was how I got involved. And that was in 2009.
Awesome. Thank you. Anathema.
Hi, I'm Anna or Anathema. I previously skated under the name Morgan Leflay, and then I changed my real name to Anna and wanted to switch it up, so I did. I joined roller derby back in 2017. I joined Boston. I've been skating with Boston the entire time. I skate for the Nutcrackers, one of the Boston home teams, and I think I fell in love with roller derby probably the first bout that I saw. This is before I'd even joined. I knew a friend in college who had done roller derby. I knew Boston roller derby was a thing, so I went to a bout in Cambridge and just kind of fell in love with it. And afterwards, I wandered up to the recruiting table and asked, how does one start doing this? And here I am.
Thank you. Kurt.
Hi, I'm Kurt. I skate as Hurt Vonnegut on the Wicked Pissahs. So I actually started derby with no intention to play roller derby. I bought roller skates during lockdown of like COVID, and then my best friend and I saw that Boston Roller Derby was hosting like a skills learn to skate class. So we signed up for that, and I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna learn to skate and not actually play derby. And then like months and months and months passed where I'm like getting cleared for contact and leveling up. And I was like, oh, I actually really like this. So I'm going to stick with this. So yeah.
And I think Adams is last but not least.
Hi everyone. Yeah, so my roller derby name is Wednesday Adams. My real name is Palig, just Armenian. My friend just said, I think you'd like roller derby, and she doesn't remember saying it to me, and I was like, what is roller derby? And I just like searched it, and I remember like searching and walking around to find the practice space in Somerville until I saw someone with roller skates standing on a bay door like that. Like she could have just skated like off the top floor of like a automobile repair business site or something. And I was like, this is amazing. And yeah, I think I fell in love with it when I just sort of saw like how dynamic the sport is in terms of like everybody has an advantage. There's no one like asset you need to be good at roller derby. Like everything can be used for benefit. So that's what I really loved about the sport. It's really not one size fits all. I think that's the best part about it.
Yeah. Great. I think that is actually a great segue to actually get started talking about the sport and about Boston Derby in particular. It's obviously grown and evolved a lot over the last 20 years. It started as a small group training at local rinks, and was a founding member of the WFTDA, which is, the governing body of the sport. It's the National Association, and a leader in inclusive sports. So there's been like a lot of change over the years. Um, Sarah, I want to start with you. As one of those founding members, like, are there any changes or moments in the league's history that stand out most to you, whether that's like for you personally or, as the community at large?
Yeah. I mean, I think just like starting out, we had to kind of build everything ourselves. So there was, and I'm not sure how the sports changed. I would love to hear more about this from like some of the more, recent skaters, but like we made our own uniforms. We made like our own buttons. These were like, we were in our apartments, like stamping out these buttons. We did our own programs, like original art, and like cut it out, laid it out, went to Kinko's, photocopied it. It was all just like very kind of tangible. So I think building it together with our hands, figuring out like how do you rent space, like what kind of insurance do you need to like not get sued when somebody breaks their ankle. Like we just had to figure out all this stuff. So I think that was really empowering for me because it enabled me and my friends to like do this sport and compete at a really high level. And we just like started businesses and like had a board of directors and like hired a lawyer and an accountant and did all these things so that we could scale and produce like events that had thousands of people there. And we just kind of figured it out all on our own. So I think that was the early culture was very much like do it yourself. So that was really, I don't know, just like super special to me and an experience that like a lot of this stuff I learned like it just carries over into like parenting and working and just driving and creating something out of nothing is like a very powerful thing to do.
BFF Anna, do you?
Yeah, so building on what Sarah said, I think from when we started, because we were very much building, I heard a phrase the other day, it was something like building a plane while flying it, I think. And that's really what it was like originally. We were just kind of like figuring things out. The rules were just made up before WFTDA. We had United Leagues Coalition, and it was a while before there was one set of rules that everyone was playing, even different size tracks. Like, so having a set of rules that we all could be part of on like a Yahoo group was huge. And so some memorable moments, I think, were one that a lot of my roller derby memorable moments are every time I think of them, it's like the moment I walked into a building and saw a thing. Like, so seeing roller derby in the newspaper and like being like, this is finally the thing. Because I also grew up as an artistic skater, competitive artistic skater at roller skating or at Roller Kingdom, which Sarah, I think you also went to. We're like sort of neighbors. And so seeing this like cool thing happening, it was very like punk rock at the time. And being part of that was really sort of just, I don't know, amazing. And then walking into the Dust Devil in Tucson, Arizona, and the doors opening up and seeing like, oh my God, there's not just us. There's like a lot of us. Like I knew there would be a lot of us, but then all of a sudden there was a lot of us. And then just seeing like just these things grow, and then building on that, when we got a private practice space is like how we knew we had made it. We had done so much work to find practice spaces. I have a spreadsheet on Google, the Google Docs, that I had called every single place that seemed like it would have a space that was like the right floor dimensions. Every local rink, community center, college place, like literally anything that had just the right size. And then finally finding the place, we had toured places, but finally finding the place in Somerville was like, it made us so that we can do whatever we want, whenever we want, not have to worry about like schedules. We could grow our league as much as we wanted. That was a really big turning point, I think, for the league.
Yeah, I feel like when I was there, we were skating outside in the winter with like a covered area, but it was not heated. It was like horrible.
Yeah, it was
So
behind Hockey Town.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that was not fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That does not sound fun. Also, you know, everyone else, if you have things to build on or share, obviously, like please jump in. But I think as we talk about the growth of the league, I'm wondering about any like traditions or rituals that emerged as the league grew.
So this isn't a league specific tradition or ritual. But one of the things that we used to do or have was this thing called twoevils.org. So one of the cool things about roller derby is that there was this lateral democratic element where we voted on a lot of things. And so twoevils.org, we had like a rule that you could not have the same roller derby name as anyone else. And this is like internationally, you could not have the same name as anyone else because there's any number of things. And so this website, Two Evils, kept a list. You would register your name, and if you tried to enter your name and what name you wanted, and it was similar to somebody else's, you would have to like email the person and say, hey, can I use a name that's kind of like yours? And if they said yes, then you would submit that to Two Evils and they would approve it or not. So just being able to pick your roller derby name, that alone is like a whole thing. And I don't think anyone uses Two Evils anymore. And I wish they did, sort of, because sometimes there's similar names and you don't know if the person moved or if it's just a different skater with the same name.
Sort of.
Completely forgot about that. But I remember like at one point in my career, I got an email from someone who also had like a Payne in their name, and their child was about to become like a league ref, and they were like, "Is it okay if they're called Little Payne?" And I was like, "Yeah, like that's so cool that they're gonna be involved." But they did like send me an email to be like, "Oh, is it all right with you?" Like, I get it, of course.
Sort of do that. Still, it's more just within the league. Like when you join and you have a similar name to somebody else, you want to check in with them to make sure, especially if you're like, you have your name and then you have your nickname, and you want to make sure that those aren't similar. But like even now, like picking out your roller derby name is a big moment for me, and I imagine for a lot of other people as well.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, does anyone have like a story behind how they chose their name that is, you know, like interesting or that they want to share?
I mean,
I
it was
chose mine.
2009. So Lil Wayne was really popular. Lil
He still
Payne.
is to some of us.
Like,
Like I said, I
sorry, Anna.
chose mine, or I used to skate as Morgan LaFlay, which I picked out just because it was kind of cool and witchy, and I liked that vibe. But then I changed my IRL non-derby name to Anna as part of, you know, being trans or whatever. And I wanted a name that was a little bit more meaningful and connected to me. And I was already sort of using anathema in a couple other places, and I adopted it as part of my derby persona.
My original roller derby name was anorexia. I grew up in a very strange household regarding food, and so it was WRECKSYA. And then one day, these women brought their daughter to the league, and she is little, and she wanted my autograph, and I changed my name immediately. It was BFF Anna. Changed it. Like I was like, I'm never gonna be anorexia again. Like little kids are coming. Like that was the end of that.
Mm. I love little kids at the derby matches. That's like, yeah. Um, Amazing. And then I guess, sorry, lost. Was there, I mean, speaking of, the actual, on the track, are there any games or championships that really define a turning point or stand out for you all? I know we have a lot of people here who also play, and so I'd love to hear more about that.
I think we were one of the first teams on the East Coast to play the team from Victoria.
I remember
When
that game.
when they first came from Australia they came to a big tournament that I don't know if it still happens every year, but it's
It
called
does.
East Coast Derby Extravaganza, and it was held like in Feasterville, Pennsylvania, which I think is there you go, Sarah.
The second one.
Sarah has the program.
It was like it was like summer camp roller derby. There was a pool that we were like allowed to swim in, which like I don't know, the lawyers, oh my God. But we were like, oh, like this will be a good matchup for us. Like we'll probably handle it. It'll be like a good warm-up game. It was our first game of the weekend, and we got our butts kicked so bad. They were so good at roller derby, and we were also really good at roller derby, but like not like that. And they were way,
They were
way bigger than
huge.
us. And like I know
still are.
Adams is right when she says that like there's a roller derby has space for all body types, and if your whole team is like 6'2" on roller skates, like you're gonna win.
Yeah.
I'd never followed out of a game before, and I like ended up in the locker room before the whole rest of the team that I was the captain of or coach of, and like eating someone else's cupcake, like crying because I was like, I fouled out. I'm not allowed back to the bench, and I think we maybe scored 40 points.
You want me to look it up?
was-
I can.
Yeah, it was bad. I mean, it was great. We learned so much.
Yeah.
It was so painful.
To be fair, they're still like top 3 in the world. So like it wasn't us, it was them.
Yeah, we
feel
were
like
wildly unprepared.
Like intercity or like international play, it's just you don't know what to expect.
Yeah.
Like BFF Ann and I played at the Dust Devil tournament in Tucson, and I was like, oh yeah, we're like the first league on the East Coast, like we're gonna be fucking awesome. And we went up against the Seattle team, and I just was like on the ground the whole time. And it like Tucson's at like 3,000 feet, and so we had been training at sea level, and so we were all just like winded. And then
It's
the
not as
Denver
bad as
girls
you
come
think,
in,
by
and
the way. It's 287 to 99. That's respectable.
oh
That's pretty
yeah,
good.
ours was way more of a blowout, but just a very humbling experience.
After we did the after the way that, because nobody had really ever played each other at Dust, like this was the first time anybody really had played each other. And so all of the leagues, I think there was 20 of us, all went to Tucson, and because they didn't really have a ranking system, we broke up into I think 4 groups of 5, and we had to play
It's like round robin.
Yeah, round robin of like a couple minutes, maybe 5, maybe 10, but I think it was more like 5 minutes each, like really quickly. And then depending on how you did, then you would get invited to do, or like you would make it to do the full length games. And so we made it past that round, and we played Carolina Roller Girls, and they were so good. And we lost, so that was in 2006, and we just every time we played them, we lost them. We had one of the cool things about roller derby then, it's not so much, I don't think people do that as much now, especially with the whole way that the regions work, is that, or non-regions, I guess, is that we had reciprocal contracts. So we would have a contract where like, you come play us, and then we'll travel to come play you. And it helped, fill out our schedule, but then also made it so that we were sharing the cost of all the travel. And so we played down there, we played up here, like we kept losing to them. And then in 2009, at the playoff championships I'm sorry, the Eastern playoffs that was at Carolina, it was in Raleigh, we beat them and got third place. And we then were able to play in championships, the WFTDA championships that year. And it felt like I cried. I was like, we
What year was that,
finally
Anna?
beat them. We finally beat them. What did you say?
What year was that?
2009.
Okay, nice. So we have been to champs once. I didn't know we ever did.
That one time.
No, that's fine. At least it was once.
Was it in
Circling
Philly?
back
Were
to
the championships in
rankings.
Philly?
Yes, that
Yeah,
was
I
the
think I was pregnant and I
Oh.
came, I was living in New York and I was pregnant and I came and I remember watching you guys and being like so fucking proud.
Hmm.
that's where Montreal came out with the pinch, pinch, pinch. That was them. And that was also when we had this, like before everyone has to have a white jersey. We had a light blue and a dark blue, but they were like vaguely different blues. So
Mhm.
our light blue jersey was the same color as Madison's dark blue jersey. And it's if you're home or away or whatever. And that just caused like a big whole thing where we had to like change like the hats that we have to wear. We had to wear theirs and they had to wear ours. And so then after that, they changed the uniform rules that you had to have a white jersey and a colored jersey. That was us. Sorry, slash you're welcome.
No, in the WNBA game this week, two teams randomly came out wearing white and they had to play rock, paper, scissors to decide who was going to change. Never seen that happen in pro sports, but apparently also in Derby.
Someone in the chat say that they didn't realize that altitude would make a difference. Yeah, like I played in Denver twice and I knew better the second time. So I bought
Oh my
oxygen.
God.
I bought oxygen and I was using on the bench and I was like, game changer. It was crazy.
Wow.
Smart.
Wait, can we talk more about uniforms? Sorry, I
Yeah.
may be like jumping,
Yes.
taking
Can
over
we
moderator.
see
I'm
your
just,
hand? No, can we
yeah.
see your hand sewn uniform? Because if
this
you
is-
have it, I think.
This is the original. These are probably like the first uniforms ever made in New England. We like got a bolt of fabric. It's like stretchy pinstripe, and we just like it was a bunch of RISD kids, you know, on the like original Providence roller derby team. So we just like sewed our own uniforms. And then we did. This was the first Nutcracker one, which was like sporty. But like, what do you guys
You
do
have that
now for
upstairs. Go
uniforms?
get it. Oh no, I have some that follow after that. I have like our last light uniform that wasn't white, but it's gray.
I don't know if
But
I've
it's
ever
like-
seen that person.
But it and we had our own patches. We would like sew them on because we're like, oh, we didn't sew the uniform, but we sewed our patch.
My leg
But they're like they pill so bad.
terrible. But
Oh, there's a new
this is-
Nutcracker.
This is
Nice.
this is the current Nutcracker. Well, I say current Nutcracker. Uniforms are a little bit in flux right now. This is the
Constantly.
uniform I wear, and one of the the traditions the Nutcrackers have is we do a circle where I'll say I've got your back, and I don't know if you can see it really show up, but there's like a little
Oh, it's
a little
inside.
like black on black. I've got your back on the back.
Oh, cute.
That was a really cool touch.
That is amazing. Actually, I think that I've got your back is a great like transition to talk about the community that comes along with Derby, because it's about more than just the sport. It's, you know, tied up with community and identity and inclusivity. You know, so I want to ask y'all, like, how has being part of Boston Roller Derby shaped your understanding of yourself and your connection to like others or community? Yeah. Anathema, I know you wanted to talk a little bit about that.
For me, the community has been probably one of the best parts of roller derby. Like skating on the track and skating is very fun, but like just the community and the family that's grown up around it. The league has been so welcoming. I found a community here. I found a family here with the team, and everybody everybody is there for each other. We're all on different teams, but we're like all playing together. We're all skating together. One of my favorite things that will happen in bouts is like jammers from opposite teams like coming up to the jam line and hugging each other, or like laughing and hanging out. And even like outside of the actual skating, it's just such a positive vibe. There's nothing like it. I've never seen anything like it. I've never encountered anything like it. It's really become kind of my family.
And how has the league helped, you express or like support your identity? I know BFF Anna.
So this is something that I experienced outside of Boston roller derby, which will be evident very quickly. So I was the first Black skater in New England, and we're very white here, just regionally. And so I found the I found the the Black Roller Derby Network. And so connecting with like all of these other Black skaters, Black officials, volunteers has been really, really wonderful. I've very frequently been in predominantly white spaces. And so having the community of Black skaters has been really awesome. Now there are more affiliation sort of teams. Adams, you're going to Skate Wars this week? What team's
I'm
on?
not there, unfortunately, because I have a wedding, but I just want to feedback off that.
Okay.
But like that definitely laid the groundwork for like Jewish roller derby, Black diaspora roller derby. There's now a Black collective skater roller derby team that is actually going to move to doing WFTDA rank. So watch out for them. I think they'll be high in the NA South rankings, which is good. But yeah, I have to skate for Salam, and there's Team Desi, there's AAPI. It's awesome, honestly, because I concur.
Amazing. So it's not just, teams based on regionality, but there's, teams that are identity and community based as well. Yes.
Just in terms of like identity and community, roller derby has been really instrumental in my own identity, being a trans woman, being a skater. It's been really affirming, and like gender affirming to skate in this sport that is so dominated by like all these different genders, all these different kinds of people. I started using she, her pronouns when I started playing roller derby. I have kind of developed this identity alongside my derby career, and back when I was still using my dead name, I got a lot of joy out of the fact that there were people who I was best friends with who did not know my real name.
I had sorry, Anna.
Go ahead.
I had a pretty similar experience with that, where I like started derby using like she, her, she, they pronouns, and like when I started using Hurt Vonnegut or Kurt, like I was like, oh, this feels so much better, and like eventually started using they, them pronouns on I have my Frogmouth jersey where I had she, her pronouns, but now I have a little patch that just says Kurt over it just because they're like $80. So I was like, I'm not going to buy a new jersey for new pronouns. But yeah, and then just being able to introduce yourself as like a name that feels like yours has been really empowering.
It's like whoever you want, you can be who you want to be.
Be your own hero.
Be your own
as
hero.
The film motto it goes.
Love that. That's a great motto. Yes.
Oh, I was just gonna say I was traveling by myself in Tromsø. I was in Tromsø, Norway, which is like the tippity top of Norway, and I met this woman and her mother on a tour. And we went out to dinner, and I ended up telling them that I played roller derby. And this is like after I had retired, and I ended up playing roller derby, telling them about it. And they said, "Oh, like the movie Bliss," because they're from France. And so the movie with it is called Bliss in France. And it was like so cool to meet other people, like just random people who had seen that film and knew what it was. And also that they called it Bliss, which is the name of the character, but it just calling it Bliss is just, I don't know, perfect.
I was thinking of Whippet at the beginning when Matisse was sharing about the the derby team that like took them in as a teenager, and I was like, this feels very Whippet coded. Oh, and yes, as you were sharing that in the chat, look at that. um,
Whippet,
also
I think,
the yeah.
Whippet, I think, was probably had a big impact on a lot of us. It certainly did on me. Like, a lot of us probably grew up watching it or saw it at one point. That was maybe our first introduction to roller derby.
Yeah. And speaking of, people being trans now, like the star of that film, roller derby, and the sport has an inclusion policy that, like, as a journalist, I'm often actually citing this policy. I call it like the platonic ideal of inclusion policies, and I think it really should be a model that more sports look at. As instead of being more exclusive, as we're seeing in like a lot of women's sports, derby has both created a room for more inclusivity and really doubled down on that support of basically skaters of marginalized gender to be able to participate. And I was wondering if, you guys, someone could talk a little bit about how, Boston Derby's values are reflected in that policy that, also kind of shapes the sport as a whole. Yeah, anathema.
It's been really cool and really interesting to watch the league, even since I've joined, kind of change and grow and evolve as our understanding and to come to accept more gender. Like, roller derby is a traditionally gendered sport. It's traditionally women's sport, and it's been very interesting to watch it kind of reckon with the idea that that gender is more complex and more varied and more fluid than was thought of when the sport was founded. And like you were saying, it could really have gone one way, but the league and the sport in general kind of doubled down and found ways to include like skaters who are trans women, skaters who are non-binary, identities and ways of being that were unheard of when the sport was founded are now common and accepted. And I think that's like, it's been very interesting to watch, even in my time here.
It was a long time coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, especially because it's a contact sport, right? And it's a sport that, so many other, contact sports are, right, really going the other direction. But instead, for folks that don't know what the policy is, it really is self-identify. If you identify as somebody who belongs in this league, it's really, no questions asked. There's no transition requirement, hormone requirement. Nobody has to prove anything. And that, I think, and they're really, it's beautiful to see that happen, especially at a time where so many sports are going, the other way with it.
Like Adams, you were saying, roller derby is a sport for everybody.
Yeah.
Like, whether you're a trans woman, whether you're non-binary, like whatever your medical history.
And I think what's really awesome, and I've told a lot of skaters this, like, you might skate a lot like someone who doesn't even look like you, who doesn't necessarily carry their weight like you do. And I think that's what's really exciting about it. Like, it just the way that you move across the track on roller skates might be really similar to someone else, and you can learn a lot from them. And I think that, like, it's very liberating in that way, to feel, like, untethered by other sports. Like, I played basketball growing up, like, I'm not even 5'4". Like, I was never gonna be good at it, like, there's just no way, like, 5'6", people who are 5'6", I'm like, "I can't do anything." But in derby, it's like being really tall helps, and also being really short helps. Or, anything in between, like, there's so much cool stuff you can do, and if you like, I have weird proportions. My legs are too long for my body, and then my friends have really, like, long torsos, and I'm like, you just have to adapt the way you block or the way you skate, and I think that's what's really cool is that, like, it's ever changing, whereas I feel like a lot of other sports, there's clear-cut ways to be good at it. You're never gonna really be that dynamically newly good at basketball, like, there's a pretty obvious way to be good at it, so with derby, it's like, "Oh, I've never seen that before." Some people jump on 2 feet, like, over everyone. I'm like, "I've never seen that be done successfully, but you can do it." So that's exciting.
Think roller derby is sort of what my experience with roller derby prior to us having like explicit gender inclusive policies, but playing like co-ed games, and then even playing with Boston with like Coco and Xena on the opposite teams. So you have someone who's 4'10", like barefoot, and then someone who's like 6'2" or something like barefoot, and still both of them having to learn how to block each other legally, making sure they're staying within the blocking like zones legally, like between those things. And then also my experience is kind of how I learned that like gender requirements in sports were like just completely made up. I was like, I've played against people of all different sizes and also gender identities and body types, and like this is made up because I, at 5'3", can get my ass handed to me by a person who's smaller than me, by a super tall 6 foot something dude. Like I can do that to them because
Mhm.
like I can just do whatever I want, and other people can do whatever they want. And you just have to have the contact zones, and everyone's good at something.
I feel like as this conversation has gotten like ugly and political, and people want to be loud about their views about whether or not sports should be gender inclusive, having had an experience playing a gender inclusive sport, like a lived experience, and being able to go in conversations and just say like you're wrong about your view. Like I've played sports with trans athletes, I've played a full contact sport with people who are against men's teams, and all manner of people, and it isn't like what you think it's going to be is imaginary. Like there is an example of sport that is played without these barriers that are like manufactured by the system, and it doesn't need to be that way. And being able to say like I've done that, and also I'm a very small sized person, and I've been successful that way. It isn't about your size or your gender, it's just about whether or not you can play by the rules. And I found that, like, as long as I found that has been able to share my experience of playing roller derby in those contexts has, I don't know if it's changed anybody's mind, but it certainly like stops like a bigot cycle that could get started.
Mm.
Yeah, I love how hard derby athletes ride for the policy too, because if I ever write anything where I don't explicitly mention that roller derby has this policy, I will hear about it from someone who plays in my mentions. By the way, you forgot, you forgot, you forgot roller derby, a small sport, but a lot of big impact.
I just wanted I saw a comment someone said about disabled skaters. I personally know at least one skater who I think is like legally blind who used to play, and I thought that was amazing. So I think, and I've played against a team who had a deaf skater, and there was an interpreter on their bench, and I thought it was like the coolest thing I'd ever seen. Like that was really like, yeah, I think it just reaffirmed my love for the sport.
Um, People are talking about the inclusive policy for Quidditch also, which is ironic for obvious reasons. I did mention this sport has renamed themselves quadball to distance themselves from the creator of the sport. But they also have a great inclusion policy as well. This is we could probably talk about this portion of the sport all day. Also, I wonder if any of you have any like thoughts or insights too on how Boston roller derby has shaped the kind of broader queer, like LGBTQ plus community in Boston and locally. There's so much overlap between those.
We have a famous drag king who's in the call.
Love you, Trix.
I'm putting
Someone's being put on the spot.
I am.
I remember like in like 2009 and 2010, we had an announcer who was like a really good women's football player. And I know there's like a lot of overlap between like the football league and the rugby leagues and the roller derby players.
I believe we've been collabing with, correct me if I'm wrong, like one of the sports leagues or a sports bar, like a queer sports bar in Boston.
Yeah, I forgot. What is it called?
The Sports Bra.
Yes, I was like, it's something really punny.
Wait, we got a sports bra?
We're
We
getting
are
one.
getting one, yeah. They
Yeah.
franchised.
Oh,
And
that's
Slammer,
so exciting.
two of our skaters know like two of the founders separately. I mean, it's such a small world, honestly. It's wild.
That's so exciting. I was just telling someone about it the other day. It's like the coolest concept
Yeah.
for a bar.
And
We'll
it
do a
will
party
be
there, maybe.
tabling at our champion. I'm just someone in the chat pointed out they will be tabling at our championship
Awesome.
bout. Like they'll be at our bout. I think we had also been looking into like getting the like a queer theater company to hang out at our bout. So roller derby is kind of like the queer sport. Like people know it as a queer sport. People assume you're queer if you play roller derby. So it yeah, kind of can't help but be enmeshed in the community a little bit.
Yeah. I love that because queer sports have always been part of the community along with bars and other things. Queer sports teams are like, yeah, it's just tradition. I want to ask now about, so I think more specific to being an athlete. Every athlete has high points and low points. Can you share a story about a challenge you faced on or off the track and how it shaped your experience in Derby? Yeah, Adams.
Yeah, so I feel like I've been talking a lot, but I had joined the travel team 2015, 2016, and I was like at the time the youngest skater, and I became the captain in 2017. And between 2016 2017, we lost a lot of talented skaters, like a good amount. I would say like at least half the A roster. And I was one of them. So the issue then was that was a really, really bad regular season for Boston. We fell out of D1. So we were always kind of like top 30 or top 40 for years. And that was a very hard summer in 2017. But what was really, I think I'll never forget is we turned the team around and we ended up going to D2s, which we were invited to. We were like the 7th seed and we won gold that year. And I think for me, it was more just like, and I think that energy has carried on to now we are a team that's known to like, if we don't have a good first half, people are afraid of our second half. Like I know I have friends from other teams that are like, how does Boston do it? I'm like, I don't know. I think we like broke a curse and believed in ourselves. And I think there's something in sort of rallying together and not just like spiraling down and not believing each other. There was, I think, a choice a lot of skaters made in 2017 to be like, I think we can do this. And I think that was like a nice inflection point. And I think for me, it's like when Payne actually, when you came back, like I think I was so excited to skate with you, and then you left, but you came back, which was nice. So I got to skate with you, and like, you know, it's exciting to like look up to people, right? And then they're your coaches, they mentor you, and then you get to share the track with them. Like that is very, I think, unique to Derby, because even if you're a D1 athlete in college or in high school, you get 4-year turnover every time. So, you know, you might, but here in Derby, like you might be skating with someone who's been playing for 15 years. And maybe after a few years, you get to share the track with them. Like that, I think is very unique to Derby. That's not really unique to maybe other sports, maybe football and rugby. But as crazy as Derby is, I don't think it's as brutal to the body as football and rugby, but I might be wrong and biased.
Did I see a hand? Yeah, anathema.
I had this is a bit more like a personal, like individual low moment for me. I had a game that I got ejected from for a penalty that they later decided was not as bad as they thought it was. It was a whole different thing. That was a really low point for me, and I think it was Little Pain kind of had the, you were talking about having a really hard game where you fouled out, or it was kind of that mood. And I remember thinking, like, do I want to keep doing this? And I decided yes, because I didn't want that to be how it ended. I didn't want like that to be the last bout that I played. So I took the off season, got my head on straight, and the first game back, I was super nervous to play in it because I was like, oh my God, I'm going to have all these bad associations. But I had a great time, and a lot of that was due to just the team I was on, the Nuts, and like the team community, and really like lifted me up and made me feel like full of positive energy.
Thing.
So that was kind of a challenge, but I'm still here and I'm happy to be here.
Thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
The first year that we had our big practice space, or maybe it was our second year, time is hard for me. We did like really, really well. And our whole season was built around like it was sort of Cool Runnings themed. So we like our cheer that year was like, feel the rhythm, feel the rhyme, get on up, it's Derby time. And our playoffs that year were in Seattle. So to account for the time difference, we were practicing at like 9:30 to 11:30 at night. And we were like, we tried so hard to get in shape for our first game, which was against the number 1 seed. I think we were the 4th seed, which was Rat City, which is Seattle's team. And our team, like, we really played really well. And we invented a strategy called long jams, where instead of, if we got lead jammer, we didn't call the jam off after 2 minutes. We would just strategically pass the star. Like when our jammer got tired, we would pass the star to the pivot, who is also then able to score points, but then you lose the ability to call off the jam. Because like on paper, Rat City was probably better than us, but we thought we would be fitter than them, and they would not be suspecting that we would do something so reckless as give up the ability to end jams. And I don't remember the score because like my brain like blacks out like bad things that happened to me. But it was like, I think within 10 points. And
It was really, really heartbreakingly close.
and like it was weird things that happened that like cost us the game. Like somebody's kneecap fell off their knee pad, and we picked up like a random ass penalty for equipment failure.
Like
And like there
repeatedly.
was, yeah, and like you can just never account for that. Like, so, and that was a really hard game for us to lose, because the first game of the tournament, we did this like really unexpected, excellent game that we had like planned for weeks for, and stayed up so late, like all of us, so that we could be on West Coast time when we got there. And like I remember being in the locker room after the game and like I'm the coach. I'm supposed to be like, it's cool guys, it's fine. So I just like went to the locker room early with Maya Mangalu and we both had like a big cry. And then by the time everybody else got back, we were like, okay, get it together. So that we could, because we still had to skate the rest of the tournament and like determined our rankings like for the rest of the weekend. So um I don't know. It was a big L for us that weekend, and we were so close but we tried so hard.
But I do want to say is that that season, while that was an L for us, that season was after we had had a really large turnover from skaters that were really core to our strategy and our skill strength. A lot of them left. And so we were starting kind of fresh and we were a bit nervous about it. Like, what are we going to do this year? And we're just going to do our best. And even though that one game didn't work out, that game was a tremendous performance for us. And that was like, I can't remember all the names of the strategies that we had that year. But I think that's also when you first became coach. It was like you and Dusty. And it was a very, very, very good season. Everyone was like, okay, everyone had to like rise to the occasion. We are going to do this. We are going to do really well. And we did really, really well, like competing against people who were so much higher ranked than us.
I want to hear more about the like training strategies, like just fun drills and stuff. We used to have this drill called driving in Cambridge. Do you guys still do that?
I remember that. We haven't done it in a while, but they did it in training camp. Like when I was coming up through training camp, they did it.
Yeah, I think I made that one up. It was just like everybody's skating in a big pack and you just like throw shit at them and like people just like start skating at you the wrong direction, just to get your mental awareness like and your agility really good. Inspired by driving in our fair city. I don't know. What other good drills do you guys have these days?
Drop stops, maybe.
How does that work?
It's there's a couple different variations, but two skaters kind of pair up. One is a pushing skater, one is a blocking skater, like a jammer and a blocker. And like I think it starts out where you're like pushing them with no resistance, and then the coach will blow a whistle, and the blocking skater has to sink into their stop really quickly, and then like block the jammer for however long. And then there's other iterations where you start 10 feet back and the blocker has to bubble back, like, skate back on the jammer.
We used to draw. Oh, sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say one time we were like playing soccer on skates so we could get really good at our footwork.
This is, I think, we have a rapid fire question that is very related to this, and that is actually next. So this is perfect. So like in one or two sentences, can you share like a quirky or memorable derby tradition, whether that's on or off the track, that like outsiders might not know about, or maybe, people, from back in the day that maybe they don't do now?
I can start.
Does someone want to start and then popcorn to someone else?
I don't know. This is just like a silly uniform team thing, but like in the early days of the Boston Massacre, we were like the pantsless militia. Like no pants was like our thing, and we all had like white ruffle butt panties that we would wear, and our uniforms were hand sewn like Revolutionary War jackets, but like the back was open, so our like ruffle butt pants stuck out. And then like everybody just started doing no pants uniforms, and we would wear, and like the after party was pants off, dance off. It just was like a thing.
And one year I decided to like never wear pants, and I just didn't wear pants. And so one time it was one of the away games in North Carolina, and I was wearing these like really tiny American apparel, not their regular little shorts, like even tinier little shorts. And we were at some hotel, and the hotel wouldn't allow me in the like the main lobby. They were like, you can't come in here because you don't have pants on.
I think that tradition has been proliferated into the league. I promise you.
Awesome. I'm so glad.
Before every game, I don't know when this tradition started, but the Nutcrackers will all gather in a circle outside in kind of the lobby of wherever we're playing and start doing like a drum circle. Like everyone stamps their skate on the ground in a rhythm, and you go around in a circle and you say, "Who's got my back?" And then everybody else says, "I've got your back." You go around that once, just saying it normally, and then the second time you're screaming it like, "Who's got my back? I've got your back." And it's a really, it's a cool way to, like, we all get hyped up before the bout, and I think it also is kind of emblematic of what the Nuts
One
are
thing,
about.
I think we're not unique in this, but I think like several years ago, one of the off skates warm ups started to be like mall walking, and now like a lot of teams do that where like you get into two lines and you like sway your hips and you like walk really fast, but it's like a good way to like warm up your body. And like I think I've skated on a few different teams for different tournaments, and like everyone loves to mall walk. So I think it's kind of a Boston tradition. Helix is on the chat, and Helix is usually the referee. So it's a fun thing we do too as well.
We used to like do we would do sing-alongs during like our plank. We would plank to warm up our like posterior chain. It's like we were trying to be fit. And we would sing like Robin. Also, we definitely had like dance songs
No
The Nuts
bones.
and
have
like
taken to doing
routines.
like the Nuts have taken to doing camp songs during warm-ups.
Camp songs as in summer camp or as in gay camp?
Summer camp, like call and response.
Got it.
That's a relatively new thing. That's new this season.
We had that, what is it called? That LMFAO, I think it's LMFAO,
Yeah,
or maybe
it
it's
was.
Lonely Island or whatever it's called. But the I'm Sexy and I Know It song. Is that what it's called? Yeah. So
Yeah.
we had like a whole like dance routine to that basically, and that at various points in the chorus, like we would do squats in one chorus, and then we did like burpees in another chorus. And that's just what we did at after parties. Also, our old coach, Justin, used to record these, like, if he couldn't come to one of our games, he would record these, like, really wild pep talks. I still have them saved on my phone, but I have them set up to, like, not go into shuffle because I'll just randomly be like, I'm on a horse. Like, just.
Art, do you have one?
Yeah.
One time I made a rubric for like what it would be like to be a good skater. I'm sorry, Kurt, but like
That's okay.
it was what Anna referenced earlier. Like we had a lot of turnover and we had to like get much better really quickly. And I was like, I know, I'll make a rubric of what it means to be a good roller derby skater. And it was like fitness, teamwork, like all these different categories. And like I'd be like, this, where do we score? Like, how are we doing? But it was like it was such a nerdy way to like try to get like some perspective about like where we were at so that we could get good fast. I don't know if that's like a tradition because hopefully it didn't stick around, but it definitely did that.
You're listening to
Jessica and roller derby.
ours.
Oh, no, those are my parents.
Well, Jessica and roller derby.
Can you thank you, Matisse.
Amazing. Amazing. All right, Kurt.
One tradition that the Pissahs have is we always have Gerlo's pickles in our locker room. We crack them open after the game and stick our sweaty hands in them and all eat them with our hands together. So kind of gross, but fun.
Sounds like the ECDX pool.
Pickles are good for after a workout anyway. They have a lot of electrolytes. I want, before we open it up to Q&A from folks that are here, I want to look ahead at the future of Boston Roller Derby. and what you would like to see for the next, hopefully, 20 years. Kurt, I want to start with you since you are, one of the newer skaters. What do you hope for the future of this league?
Um, I mean, I hope we can find like a more permanent home, because I know that has been kind of a long want. I was never here for the fort, but I hear a lot of good things about it and, wish we had a more permanent space. And then also hopefully like with that being able to start recruiting again.
Wow.
Got
Anyone
something
else?
I'd
Yeah.
also love to see. I came up in like roller derby training camp, which was a really positive experience. And yeah, I remember the old fort. It was great to have our own space.
I think my dream in the next 20 years is that I think right now the typical structure of derby commitment is like bowing and breaking to the demands. And I think that the league, once it gets a permanent home, should have the ability to have like a very casual, we kind of had it for a brief time, but like a casual way to do roller derby as well. Because a lot of people don't want to come to practice 2 to 3 times a week. I do, but not everyone does. And I think that that's a huge market, not to speak like a capitalist, but that's like a huge arena of people who might want to learn to skate and just play here and there and have a space to do that. And I think that that means like reconfiguring what the league looks like. The league could be like 300 people big. And maybe half of it is it's like a social sport thing once a week. You just go and play. Like I know some people who go to basketball once a week. They just play for an hour and a half. They go home. They're happy. And I wish BRD had that ability, had that capacity to do that and have competitive track and a home team track. That's my dream. Since you asked.
That's exactly what I was thinking as well, is I think that there should be a focus on sustainability, both for the business and also physically, mentally, emotionally, and the business itself. It's one of the things that happens is like nurturing your current skaters and your alumni and your volunteers and your NSOs and your refs and nurturing all those relationships, because what happens is that when you work so hard to keep this organization alive, you get burned out, and then when you're done, you're gone, you're done, and then you lose all of these people who would be really dedicated volunteers or people to also help, and there's not really a way to casually participate. Even, I mean, things might have changed, but like when I was skating, it was like if you're a volunteer, it's still as much work to be a volunteer as to be a skater. And when you lose your especially when you lose your alumni, you're losing access to like people who already like what you do. It's really hard to recruit volunteers for nonprofits, and making sure that creating a way that roller derby can be sustainable also will help with dues. It's not capitalist, you need to be able to pay your bills. And also it helps people because some people might want to just casually join and then maybe they get really into it, and other people who are like, I just want to do Thursday night or whatever derby casually. Like I feel like there is a place for that, and that will create a whole thought shift, because it's always like, if you want to do this, you should be aspiring to be the absolute best you can be. And like sometimes being a mediocre or just kind of crappy is actually really good. That's a thing that I've been learning since I left, is like just doing something and being really bad at it is like really humbling, but also like, oh, I'm just doing this because I like to do it. I don't have to actually be like striving to be Team USA crocheter or something. Like just do whatever.
We're kind of headed in that direction, or we're starting to think about derby like that. Because when I was starting out, derby was like the attendance requirements were different. It was like 2.5 times a week minimum. You had, if you wanted to be a home team skater, 3 times a week if you wanted to be a travel team skater. And I think in a lot of ways, the pandemic really changed things for us, because it made us realize that like, oh, there is a life that people have outside of roller derby. and it's not reasonable to expect that this is going to be everybody's entire life. So like since post-pandemic, there has been, at least my experience or my perception of it has been, there's been a little more acknowledgement of like, we've relaxed our practice requirements. Like people are more understanding if you can't make attendance or if you can't come to a certain practice. And there's a little bit more forgiveness, or a little bit more like, you know, more of a league culture that's starting to acknowledge that, like, yeah, if we don't want skaters to burn out, we need to look at kind of the longevity and the sustainability of both our skaters and our league. So that's something I hope we keep developing, and having a permanent space would certainly help with that. Having training camps would certainly help with that. But like, I see us headed in that direction, or, you know, at least I'm hopeful for that.
That's really nice.
Yeah, thank you. And I think that's a great segue actually to opening it up to folks who are here. If you have questions for any of our panelists specifically or more generally, please drop them in the chat, and I will read them to the group. Matisse would like details on the fort. It sounds fun. What are the details? What was the fort?
It was in Lynn.
Yep.
It was across from a bar called the White Eagle, just to set the stage. And it was in a huge warehouse.
Bar, right?
What?
There's a biker bar, right?
We spent way too much time in there. We were in there all the time too, though, drinking Miller High Life. But it was wild in there. But it was this huge warehouse, really high ceilings. We had a regulation track. There were poles. We couldn't sanction games there, which just means we couldn't play like travel team games for ranking at our space. But it was huge. It was nice. We got to host Boston Junior Derby there as well. And that kind of fell apart because of the pandemic. But now there's 2 great leagues in the state for juniors who we haven't actually talked about. I should talk about that. But
we had our giant logo painted on the wall.
Yeah,
and people would crash into the wall and like leave dents or holes, and you got to sign the hole that you made.
Yeah, there was a bit of a lot of hole. It was really fun. Crossing our fingers for something again. Any JRD, and there's also Northeastern Uprising, and they're in CCOM. But any JRD practice is in Saugus right now. And I'm sure if we ever found a permanent space, they would probably share it with us, since kids get out of school like 2. So yeah,
And that's the information on Junior Derby League.
Yeah,
for anyone
Judy
who will
just
be
sent
watching the recording. It doesn't see the chat.
More than a couple junior derby skaters who have matriculated,
which is really exciting.
Into Boston roller derby or into other leagues, and it's really amazing to see, because they're all like super good.
Yeah,
they've been playing derby since they were 7.
Oh, wow, I was gonna ask how old they have to be to
7
start.
to 17.
Yeah, they
do. I think once you hit 14, you hit a different level, and the 14 and up play together. Pretty sure. That's what I remember from coaching them. But
cool. Anyone else with questions? Comments? Someone wants to get on skates.
The first fort was in Somerville, and it was like a former artist space that was above like a car shop. And that was the place that I think Adams was saying that she saw like somebody, like you could have skated like right out of the 2nd floor and just like been in the air.
yes.
And like one of the things that's really nice about roller derby and being a DIY like organization is that people come with their skill sets. And at that, like before we got the fort in Somerville, we were just like schlepping all over greater Boston area to like tracks and hockey rinks, and like the beach at Southie that had like a hockey rink, and just having like the worst road rash from like all these random places we would skate and fall. And somebody joined the league, Shark Week, Chomp Chomp, who knew about like how to get a real lease And she's like, oh, there's commercial real estate listings. You can search by dimensions. And we were like, like, and that's how we found that first space. And but I'm not sure like if we should have been skating above like car fumes.
I mean, and it was so hot when it was hot and disgusting.
Yeah, it was like a tin roof.
It
We shot a reality TV show in there once about somebody who made chainsaw art. And they came and they made a chainsaw sculpture of Ginger Kid. But like
I remember that. That was terrible.
but they didn't like specifically set out to make Ginger Kid, but they like did the big unveil and we all were like, oh, Ginger Kid. And then they're like, okay, do it again, but don't say Ginger Kid. So we learned a lot.
Where is that? Where is that right now?
I can't imagine. It's probably in someone's backyard.
It is. I'm gonna roll out somewhere.
Like I have the Mr. Peanut suit in my shed. Like probably there's little artifacts of Boston Roller Derby with like every alumni.
We have
project.
Questions in the chat.
Yeah, we have someone who wants to talk about the changes over time in A-team names. Would love to hear the original thoughts on Massacre and how it evolved over time to Boston.
So Boston Derby names to Boston Roller Derby or Massacre to Boston Roller Derby All-Stars, I think. I can't remember when that change happened. I have a Massacre shirt on right now.
I thought it was pre-pandemic. I thought it was 2019.
Yeah.
That change. It was after.
To have those conversations, I think, in like 2018 or 19.
Yeah. There's an.
I think we changed them to just.
Yeah.
You go ahead.
Oh, I didn't know. Sorry, no, I was just letting you answer. I didn't know if that was enough. And there was another question from Helix, but
I think we changed them to shift the focus of the teams away from like a very patriotic bent. And there was a C team called the Boston Common that was not like technically a chartered travel team, that like things got restructured post-pandemic, and now we have an ABCD team. But Adams or Kurt probably speak more about like logistics of travel teams.
Yeah.
Sarah, oh, go ahead.
No, please go ahead. Please go ahead. I'm talking too much.
We have a lot of questions, so I want to, get to as many as we can. Sarah, can you talk about being the Johnny Appleseed of Derby?
Yeah, I mean, I think I mentioned this a little bit in the intro, but I had kind of gotten a taste for Derby playing with Tucson and just like training with them, but never got to the point where I could like scrimmage. Like I never scrimmaged. So then when I moved back to Providence, summer of 2003, I just like started the league, became like an owner of it without realizing it, because we were raising some money and I like put it in my bank account, DBA, like Sarah King and DBA Providence Roller Derby, and then I like became the owner, which was a legal liability that I had no business taking on. But we just like we trained people outside in like parks. It was all very like we didn't really even know what we were doing, because I had never played the actual game. I knew how to like do drills and like run practices. And then we started getting like really good skaters, like Dolly Rocket joined. There was a bunch of other people in Providence. And so I think we had our first game in May of 2005. No, maybe 2004.
Boston or Providence? Boston's was
I'm
May
talking
2005.
Providence now. So I think it was
I think
2004.
it was 2004.
Yeah. And then I moved up to Boston, and then me and Ivana Klauber kind of started the Boston League. And I started, playing more with Boston. And then we had like a New England team called New England Roller Derby.
That was me.
It was like an all-star team, right?
That was
Nerd.
me.
That was the best.
Yeah, it was really fun.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's kind of how it started. And I think it was a common story in a lot of places. Like people got a taste and then they like were living somewhere that didn't have a league and then like started the league. Yeah.
Ivana Claver is a great name. We also have someone who had asked if there are any skaters that y'all look up to or who'd like to shout out, and we have an amazing list of great skaters and amazing derby names going in the chat. Anyone that you all want to shout out, because yeah, this will also be on YouTube and the chat is not easily accessible there. So if there's anyone you want to make sure to mention that you really look up to.
I had mentioned Kay Woodward of Arch Roller Derby and Stan on Rose City. They're just like phenomenal blockers. They're also Team USA blockers, but they're really great to watch.
Dolly Rocket, now retired. One of my best friends and an incredible blocker. And just to talk about myself for a second, so they like populated. They popularized. I'm sorry, my brain post-COVID. Okay, they popularized the idea of weaponizing the track lines, but they took that from me. I don't mean that they stole it from me, but like in 2006, I think I started like looking at loopholes. And so the way that everyone plays now with like forcing people out and doing run backs, that was me. And also positional blocking, that was also me. Dolly was interviewed for some like a blog or something, and they told that story, and then they made me little trophies that said like roller derby grandma invented like run backs, roller derby grandma invented positional blocking or something like that. I don't, they're in storage somewhere, but it's like one of my prized possessions.
Like one of the things that Anna really brought to the roller derby in general is that like she has like a really strong background in knowing how to actually roller skate, whereas many of us learned as adults and had grown up like having like really formal training. So she was like, why don't we just be in front of people and then slow down? And then they will also have to go slow behind us because we will slow them down. And at the time, roller derby was a very fast. It was just full on race. So, but it sounds like so simplistic, like, oh, like just slow them down and then you can push them out of bounds and that's teamwork. But at the time it like really did, like Anna really did change roller derby and then we were like, well, we don't know how to roller skate that well. And so then we were like, oh, we have to actually learn how to skate, and started to like really learn about like how to use our stops and apply them in games. So good job, Anna. Thank you.
One time, Dolly's, oh wait, what time is it? Sorry, really quick. Dolly's parents have like a VHS tape from when they came to the Ohio regionals, and there's like someone talking next to them off the screen, and they're saying like, oh, it's so weird. They're just like staying in front of them and they're not trying to hit them. I just thought that was a really funny story.
I also love this in the chat. Someone asked about how you originally got the word out for bouts, like what was the audience and who was coming. And Payne, you called yourself evangelists on wheels, passing out flyers at train stations and bars.
We would just like go up to people like, here, would you like this flyer? And they were like, nobody wants a flyer. We were like, take the flyer. But people would come. It works.
We stopped at some point. I don't know when we stopped, but I remember I had to flyer a lot and it was so awkward. It's always easier when you're in a group. I think I did once in TD Garden, like the station, like North Station, and they were like, you can't do this here. I was like, but we're already here.
We also always had to have the next date like set and advertise at the bout, because otherwise people didn't know when the next one was. So I feel like we usually had like the posters made for the next one and like advertising a month before.
It was a super big deal to get on a poster too.
Oh,
yeah.
wait, speaking of, here's Anne on a poster.
Oh, that's so cool.
Oh my God, yes.
And Quick Sandy.
Yeah.
We've been slowly going back to that style, which is exciting. I love that.
Here's more abuse. She's another inspiring skater.
That's like one of my favorite posters.
Yeah.
That's the old uniform. That's the original uniform.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
that's the pantsless militia. It really is.
The pantsless militia.
They,
It
like,
also
really
sounds
had
kind of like a
pants, like,
drag name, a drag
buttons.
troop.
How about that?
I think somebody's mom made them.
Oh, yeah, here's another one of the
The old uniforms.
Amazing.
Oh
Those are
yeah, and
all
all the
so
games
cool.
used to have names. It wasn't
Yeah.
just like, come on this date. It would just be like you
Yeah,
had
the
to have like a
dates.
whole name
Okay.
for the game.
I
Amazing.
was not part of the league at this time, but there is a lot of urban legend in the league about the one game that was at Mass Art.
Oh yeah, and those
Oh.
like toilet seats for the penalty box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I bet Anna and Doom were both there.
Yeah, wait, it was the Shamrock Showdown. It was this one. Does it say Mass Art? I feel like it was this one.
I think that was like a big turning point in the Boston
It
roller
was
derby history.
terrible. Like skating on a basketball floor is like the worst. So slippery. Yeah, this was at the Mass Art gym.
Good
And
memory.
It
penalty
did sell
box.
out, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was packed, and then they were never allowed to have a game there again because it like I don't like condemned the place. Like it was not equipped for a number of people there. The bleachers were super sketchy. There were people in like a second floor area where there was like windows that overlooked the basketball rink, and they were like in there. It was not safe for the
Yeah.
amount of people that are normally in an art school gym.
Was that the first bout?
Yes, that was
And
your
then you
first
went to
public bout.
Shriners after.
Yeah.
You guys still
Yes.
play at Shriners?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I think that
Best.
like the one and only fight that I know about in Boston roller derby was at the Shamrock Showdown.
Yeah.
Was
We
there?
used to
Fight in the
I-
first Providence game, and there was definitely a toilet seat penalty box, but I don't remember that being at the first Boston one.
I hope not. I would be embarrassed, but
Or was it a
We
sofa?
also
It was
had a
so
marching band on
weird.
roller skates for the first Providence game. Like my proudest moment in my life.
that's
That's
amazing.
also amazing. And Matisse is giving us the links to the championship bouts and the discount code. So 15% off. I feel like your job right now, Matisse. You know more about what these links and the deals for history project folks are. Do you wanna
I just come to the I'm here. I'm just coming back up. Hi everyone. This is amazing. Y'all are I like want to listen to this for hours and hours more. This is so good.
I know, I felt bad cutting everybody off.
No, I just want to say thanks to you all for being here and thanks for this chat. This was really amazing. Y'all are incredible people, and it was so amazing to learn from you all. And yeah, it's now it's in the archives. You know what I mean? So, congrats. Anyways, this is so incredible. Also, we should talk about sorry, off topic, but we should like talk about the things y'all have for the future and archiving stuff. Anyways, yes, come to the championship, the 20th anniversary, 15% off using code history. I put the links in there. That's a special code for all of you who are here at this event. So, you know, we better see you there. Okay. Sound good? Anyways, thanks y'all.
You.
Do
Thank
you all have any
you.
other final thoughts? Obviously, I want to be mindful of people's times, but also it feels abrupt. Does anyone have any other final things to say before we go?
I could talk about roller derby forever, but it like changed my life, and I'm sure that that is the case for many people.
For sure. Thank you for especially Sarah and Anna.
Yes, thank
your
you,
work.
Doom.
Because you change a lot of people's lives, probably people you'll never meet, but it's always for the better. So thank you.
I wanted to say it's been an honor to like even see you and talk to you, like all these like roller derby BRD legends.
Mhm.
Yeah, thank you for what you did. And if anybody who's watching is like thinking about joining roller derby or thinking about skating, like do it. Find a league, find a pair of skates, like get on skates and yeah, be your own hero, I guess.
I also just want to say once again, thank you to Frankie for hosting this. And also thank you to Judy Tootie Fresh and Fruity for organizing this with me. This was so amazing. But yeah, thanks everyone, and I hope you all have a great night. Hope to see you at the bout, and thanks you all for sharing your amazing stories. Like truly, thank you all. Ciao everyone.
Good night.
Bye.
You.